Moving on now to Psalm 71. I seek refuge in you, O Lord. May I never be disappointed. As you are beneficent, save me and rescue me. Incline your ear to me and deliver me. Be a sheltering rock for me, to which I may always repair. Decree my deliverance, for you are my rock and my fortress. My God, rescue me from the hand of the wicked, from the grasp of the unjust and the lawless. For you are my hope, O Lord God, my trust from my youth. While yet unborn, I depended on you. In the womb of my mother, you were my support. I sing your praises always. I have become an example for many, since you are my mighty refuge. My mouth is full of praise to you, glorifying you all day long. Do not cast me off in old age. When my strength fails, do not forsake me. For my enemies talk against me. Those who wait for me are of one mind, saying, God has forsaken him. Chase him and catch him, for no one will save him. O God, be not far from me. My God, hasten to my aid. Let my accusers perish in frustration. Let those who seek my ruin be clothed in reproach and disgrace. As for me, I will hope always and add to the many praises of you. My mouth tells of your beneficence, of your deliverance all day long, though I know not how to tell it. I come with praise of your mighty acts, O Lord God. I celebrate your beneficence, yours alone. You have let me experience it, God, from my youth. Until now, I have proclaimed your wondrous deeds, and even in hoary old age, do not forsake me, God, until I proclaim your strength to the next generation, your mighty acts to all who are to come. Your beneficence high as the heavens, O God. You who have done great things, O God, who is your peer? You who have made me undergo many troubles and misfortunes will revive me again and raise me up from the depths of the earth. You will grant me much greatness. You will turn and comfort me. Then I will acclaim you to the music of the lyre for your faithfulness, O my God. I will sing a hymn to you with a harp, O Holy One of Israel. My lips shall be jubilant as I sing a hymn to you, my whole being, which you have redeemed. All day long my tongue shall recite your beneficent acts, how those who sought my ruin were frustrated and disgraced. One interesting element of this psalm is the psalmist's admission that he has had a strong connection with God from his youth, even from the time that he was in his mother's womb. He states in verse 3, For you are my hope, O Lord God, my trust from my youth. While yet unborn, I depended on you. That obviously is an exaggerated form of speech, talking about a fetus who has a dependence on God, and yet through that exaggerated speech, the psalmist is emphasizing the idea that God is with us not only from our youth, but even from the womb, if we are so inclined. And he obviously is so inclined. Now, one of the reasons he draws that out and emphasizes that, and actually he mentions it twice in this psalm, this idea of having a strong faith and hope in God from his childhood, is because he's also begging God in verse 9, do not cast me off in old age. When my strength fails, do not forsake me. In other words, he's saying to God, I've been loyal and faithful to you. I have loved you and have had hope in you and a strong relationship with you, even from the days of my childhood. So when the time comes and I reach old age, please stick with me. Don't cast me off. Don't abandon and forsake me, because I've been with you since the time that I was a child. So it's only fair, the psalmist says, that you be with me and stick with me when I need you the most, namely in my old age. Very well-known verse, verse 9, do not cast me off in old age. When my strength fails, do not forsake me. It's actually a verse that is included in the Yom Kippur liturgy in the section called the Shema Kolenu, or Hear Our Prayer. That section in itself is part of a larger section called Slichot, or prayers and readings on forgiveness, asking God for forgiveness for our transgressions. And the psalmist begs, do not cast me off in old age. And we beg, as we recite the Yom Kippur prayers, we ask God, do not cast me off in old age. Al tashlicheni le'ed zikna, kichlot kochi, al ta'azveni. The difference is in the Yom Kippur prayer, rather than first person singular, that verse is changed to first person plural. Al tashlichenu le'ed zikna. Do not cast us off in our old age. When our strength fails, do not forsake us, because we are pleading with God not only as solitary individuals, but as part of a greater community. Today, during this time of the pandemic, as we all know, we read continuously that anyone over the age of 60 is at greater risk for contracting this virus, that anyone who is considered to be a senior or a senior citizen has greater vulnerability to the disease. And we read about the numbers of people who are in skilled nursing facilities or concentrated living areas where senior citizens congregate, that they are at higher risk, and that a large number of deaths, unfortunately and tragically, have occurred in those milieus. And so it is very poignant and very moving to think, and upsetting in the same time, to think of the fact that those people in old age have, in a sense, been cast off, left to die alone, without the presence of their loving family members, and perhaps even feeling cut off, some of them, from God, from divine providence. So sad to think of that. And yet at the same time, the psalmist, later on in the psalm, talks about the need to stick with God and to have God stick with him in old age. He says, until I proclaim your strength to the next generation, your mighty acts to all who are to come. So one of the reasons he wants to have God's presence with him in his old age is because he wants to live long enough to be able to recount and tell the story of God's goodness and graciousness and love to the next generation. And that also is very touching. I think about people who write memoirs in their old age, or ethical wills to leave to those who survive. A great classic book compiled by Israel Abrahams in the early part of the 20th century was called Hebrew Ethical Wills, in which he includes ethical wills and writings by great teachers and sages and Jewish leaders throughout the centuries. And those writings are fascinating to read, but you don't have to be a Jewish sage or a great leader or teacher to be able to write ethical wills or leave journals or writings or messages to those who survive us. You don't have to be a rabbi or a leader or a teacher to do that. And in fact, you don't even have to commit any of those thoughts to writing if you don't wish to. Instead, we lead by example. We inspire by the deeds that we do. Those who survive us, who live after us, God willing, will be able to follow in our example by reflecting on and acting upon the good things that we do in our lives the ways that we are kind and good and loving to one another, and the ways in which we maintain a strong faith and loyalty to God from our early days, and if not from our early days, if we find that faith later in life, then at least, God willing, until the end of our days. Thank you.